What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So another Steam Deck video here. This time we're taking a look at Dead Island 2, which just came out on Steam. It originally was over on Epic, and I tested it there before on the Steam Deck and on other handhelds. But being on Steam now, I wanted to take a look at the performance here for SteamOS and a little bit over on Windows 11 as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Our settings here for everything's going to be basically 800p, unlimited frame rate, no VSync, and medium on our settings, but we are going to take a look at a few different things in the video as well. And then we do have FSR2 in here, and we're going to take a look at some of the differences with that as well, though I probably will use balanced in most of the video. And I left the variable shading off. You could turn that on if you wanted to as well in the settings. But that's pretty much what we're going to go with as we get into this and look at the performance for SteamOS and for Windows for Dead Island 2. Alright, so I played a ton of this game back when it launched on Epic, and being here on Steam, unfortunately it is a new save here, so I have to start from the beginning, but I did put in a couple hours and test out performance. Now I did want to use this spot here, medium FSR quality, and take a look at some of the difference in performance. So about 52 or so FPS. If we switch this over to balanced with the same settings, up to about 57, we increase by about 5 FPS just in this particular spot. And if we take that up to performance, we'll go up to about 64, 65 FPS in this spot with FSR2 on performance here on medium. Just sitting still here and checking out this scene. Now if we go to native, where we get all the detail back from all the flames and everything, not using FSR, it looks much better, and we come down to about 53 or so FPS there. Now if you want to go to low, you can get some increased FPS. Low native here goes up to about 59, 60 FPS or so, but you lose some of the detail in the game. It just kind of depends on what FPS you want to get. FSR 2 on quality here on low gets you up to about 62 or so FPS in this particular spot. Again, you lose a lot of that detail though. Going to FSR balanced on low here, 66 FPS, working pretty well. So again, if you want a lot more FPS over the visuals, you can definitely crank some more out of it by going down to low. And performance here on FSR, hitting up to 70 FPS in this spot. So quite a range of performance between medium and low and all the FSR options we have here. For the most part though, the rest of the video for this anyway, I'll stick with medium FSR balanced. It just was a sweet enough spot for my gameplay to check out performance. Now, as you go around into the beginning of the game, there's different inside and outside areas, and of course, you'll tend to get higher FPS indoors versus outdoors for the most part. But I was getting 50 to 60 or higher, sometimes 70 FPS in these areas, just these little search spots or going inside the mansion or the houses or whatever. So indoors, you know, it's going to vary, but that's what I was getting there. Outdoors, more in the 40s most of the time from my playing and just going around. Sometimes it would get a little bit higher, sometimes it would get down in the 30s. But I seem like I would really range from about 35 to 55 on average when I'm just kind of out away from indoors and out in more of the open world area. And of course, the more combat, the more NPCs around, the more effects that are going on. You can see we did get down to about 32 FPS there here on medium FSR2 balance. But again, as you saw earlier, there is a lot of wiggle room between lowering some of the settings or all the settings, messing with FSR and all that you can really vary. Oh, this game's hilarious. You can really vary the performance that you want to get out of Dead Island 2 here on the Steam Deck. But really it's running great on SteamOS, and I expected that it would because it ran fine for me over on the Epic Games version as well. But yeah, performance here is fine. Let's go ahead and just take kind of a quick look at what performance is like on Windows 11 for those of you that might be playing over there on the Steam version. Alright, so as we jump over here to Windows 11, same spot here, and we were getting about 55 to 65 FPS on SteamOS, so we're getting pretty much the same thing here in this spot on Windows 11. However, there were times I would get these odd stutters and drop down to like 20 or 30 FPS and it would recover. This didn't happen very often. I put about an hour and a half to 2 hours on Windows going around the beginning parts of the game again and that type of thing, and it certainly wasn't very prevalent. It didn't happen all the time, but it did happen occasionally. And that scene we were checking out earlier over on SteamOS, I don't want to go through all of that, but medium FSR2 balanced here, and we'll switch this over to low FSR2 balance, go from 52 to 58, 59 FPS. But the performance is very, very similar to what I had earlier on in the video for SteamOS, so I didn't want to show all of that again here, but I wanted to show these parts. And as far as getting into the outside combat and where we were getting like 40s and 50s over on SteamOS with the occasional 30s, we pretty much are getting that same thing here on Windows 11. Sometimes we get that odd stutter I was showing you and talking to you about earlier, but it really isn't very often. For the most part, performance is very close between the two. I think maybe SteamOS fares a little bit better in this game than Windows 11, but that's been the case for a lot of games recently. But it certainly isn't that really huge distance between the two like I've seen in some recent games where Windows is suffering more. This one's definitely very playable and enjoyable on Windows 11 or SteamOS, which is great. And if you want to save some battery and lock this game down to 30 FPS or 40 FPS on either one of the operating systems, it'll of course help you there too, or smooth out the frame rate more for you as well. So that's always an option. But anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video as always. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.